If you're searching for a meaningful spiritual experience, look no further than St. Anthony's Parish in Allston, Massachusetts. Join us at 43 Holton Street in between Soldiers Field Road and the Mass Pike. Immerse yourself in the complete St. Anthony's Parish encounter through our 10 o'clock a.m. chanted Mass. Whether you're a Catholic seeking a parish to call home or someone looking for spiritual guidance, our welcoming community is here for you. Visit our website at www.stanthonyalston.org for more information. St. Anthony's Parish, where faith finds a home. Welcome to the voice of St. Anthony Parish from Allston, Massachusetts, right here on WROL, 950 AM, 100.3 FM, and you can also hear us at CatholicAudiomedia.com. That's CatholicAudiomedia.com. We're here every single Monday through Friday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you can also hear us as it falls on our podcast platform. Your favorite one, just look for Catholic Audio Media, all one word, or Catholic Audio Media, 3 words on Spotify, and then scroll through until you'll see the voice of St. Anthony Parish. Well, I'm talking to you about this powerful understanding of the factors that go into our lives. And I'm setting the scene here for something. So what I talked about yesterday is I talked to you first about someone who had this, she'd call it a curse, of being able to look at someone and actually understand something tragic that was going to happen in their future. And she talked to me about how could this be possible, and we talked about a spiritual force that by default can see like whole blocks of time, just like you and I can see whole blocks of road. And then I talked to you about people who have had this experience, and specifically Maximilian Kolbe, who in 1933 was fully aware somehow that there was going to be a fireball that was going to land in downtown Nagasaki. And of course, that became the atomic bomb. And this was a time before anyone understood there was even an atomic bomb. I don't think there was the ability to even make one at the time, even to dream one up. And yet he knew that was going to happen. And that question is, how did that happen? So we see these things go on. Then I talked to you about the Titanic. And the Titanic, there were so many strange factors that went into the sinking of the Titanic. And it was just all a bunch of things that came together all at once that you'd look at that and say, if you saw all those factors during this trip, this is what's going to happen. People would look at it and say, the ship's going to sink. How can this happen? How could this have come together? And this is going to be an absolute disaster. And so you look in hindsight and you go, well, all these factors seem to come together. Whether they did or not, or whether it was just all coincidence, well, that's a story that's something that needs to be asked. So I'm bringing this up for a reason, because we look at things in our world today, and remember, we're living at a time where people are turning around and saying, we don't need to believe in God anymore. We have science now. I saw this really what I think incredibly stupid, I don't know, it was a t-shirt or no, it was something on Twitter. Science blesses you. Do you realize that makes literally no sense? It really does. It really does make no sense. I mean, it makes no sense. Science blesses you. Look, either you believe in science or you believe in God. Don't try to do this thing that comes together using science to replace God, because what you'll come up with is something incredibly stupid. And that literally makes no sense, because science is science. It doesn't bless anything. God blesses. But if you're going to say science bless you to kind of imply that science is the new God, it just makes no sense. And I'm looking at this saying that's literally explains why I say atheism is flat earth thinking. But we are living at a time where people are looking at science, and science is now our new savior. I love science. I'm not a flat earther. And as you know, I believe in, if you imagine faith is a Venn diagram and science is a Venn diagram, faith would be this huge circle, and all of science to its extreme, meaning to the ultimate limits of the universe and beyond that we're dealing with Voyager, and everything else it's discovering, all of that would be encompassed within faith. but faith and science to believe in both of them. But the whole concept is we have conquered the world and we can create all things new, and now we are in charge, and we're actually living virtually Nietzsche's vision of remaking reality, remaking morality, remaking our whole idea. But that only works if it is true. And one of the fascinating things that comes together with all of this is oftentimes there are these little factors that come together that prove that we don't have the opportunity to control for all factors and all the time. And these things come together. And of course, that was the story. That was the message of Dr. Malcolm in Jurassic Park. And just saying, no, you can't say we have conquered the world, we have control for all things, because we don't. And things will go wrong. And when those things go wrong, it shows that we are not who we think we are when we don't account for them. We'll talk more on the other side of the break. You can now leave a message for us, which we can air and discuss on this program. Just call 617-297-7452. That's 617-297-7452. 617-297-7452. Feel free to call, leave a comment, a question, or even feedback, and we may play it on the air. I can discuss your comment or question as well, so give that a try. 617-297-7452, 617-297-7452. We're back, and we're talking about the reality that any idea that we don't need God and we now have science and we can take care of all our issues in the world with science is really built on a very faulty form of logic. And every time, I can't say every time, but many times when people have lived on that false idea, then what happens is disasters happen, all because certain factors weren't accounted for. And usually they are stupid little factors. And this is a reality. So again, and for some reason, there are people, and I don't want to go too far into this, who have a bigger picture of these factors, but on a different level, there are just the reality that these factors are there. So one of the examples I gave is the Titanic. There were so many different factors that if you were to look at it, if you were to understand they were all going to be there before the ship left the dock, you would say, the ship's going to sink. And people would laugh at you, say, no, that makes no sense. And say, no, the ship's going to sink, because all these little factors that you didn't account for are all there, making it just practically a done deal. So we see this. Another factor was the Challenger accident. Again, a little bit different because the engineers realized that this vehicle could not take off safely, and they were terrified that it was going to explode, which it ultimately did. And what was the cause of it? Something as simple as an O-ring. Granted, the O-ring was huge, but it was an O-ring. And what is an O-ring? It's a rubber seal. That's all. It's literally a ring made of rubber that's in the shape of an O. So it's an O-ring. And that's literally what it is. And we know that the O-rings were affected by something as simple as temperature. That's all. It just happened to be colder in Florida than it normally was at the time when the Challenger took off. And I remember that morning, the news was that there was frost on the orange crop that may damage the orange crop. And here I am in a hurry and stuff, and I'm listening to National Public Radio at the time. And I remember that story coming on. I'm like, this isn't really some big story I need to waste my time on as I'm on my way to work. Turns out that was the biggest story of the day. Again, that factor. Now, as it turns out in the Challenger accident, what happened is the engineers said this temperature is a problem, and they tried to hold the Challenger from taking off, but whoever was in charge of the mission fought them on it, and eventually it took off. And sure enough, exactly what the engineers said was going to happen was going to happen. But this was a huge hundreds of millions of dollars vehicle filled with tons of technology and the epitome of science. And what caused it was something as simple as temperature affecting a rubber seal. And again, and what happened, similar to the Titanic accident, what happened was a little bit different, where people saw this factor is disastrous. We have to stop this mission now. And NASA didn't listen. Or whoever was in charge of the mission, I should say, didn't listen. And exactly what they foresaw was going to happen and prayed that didn't, did. Why? Well, essentially science too, because they came together and this factor just there. So there are all these factors that exist in our world. And we're going to see all these we're always going to see all these factors coming together. And sometimes it's just going to be just a few things that no one has any control about, and they happen. I remember a time when I was in the Navy, an officer came in and he put some papers on a desk. And right next to the desk was an open bottle. Right next to the papers on the desk was an open bottle of wax. It was really, because I'm waxing the deck, which is really big in the Navy. And all of a sudden he leaves and the ship takes a roll. And all of a sudden those papers fall off the desk, fall out of the folder, fall off the desk. And then the bottle of wax falls over and pours all over the papers. And then about 5 minutes later, he comes back. And all these papers he just left there are now covered with wax on the deck. And he always said that to me later. He says, yeah, I'm not going to leave anything with you. You put wax all over it. But it was one of those set of little things that you'd figure, oh, it's innocent. We're just putting papers on a desk, that turns into almost disastrous because of factors beyond our control. We'll talk more tomorrow. I want to call your attention to Catholic TV, which offers great faith-filled, family-friendly programming 24 hours a day. You can find your cable channel at www.getcatholictv.com, and you can watch online on the free apps or check out the YouTube channel. Daily Mass, Rosaries, the Divine Mercy Chaplet, and the Our Lady of Perpetual Help Novena are all available online and on demand. Check out CatholicTV.com. If you're searching for a meaningful spiritual experience, look no further than St. Anthony's Parish in Allston, Massachusetts. Join us at 43 Holton Street in between Soldiers Field Road and the Mass Pike. Immerse yourself in the complete St. Anthony's Parish encounter through our 10 o'clock a.m. chanted Mass. Whether you're a Catholic seeking a parish to call home or someone looking for spiritual guidance, our welcoming community is here for you. Visit our website at www.stanthonyalston.org for more information. St. Anthony's Parish, where faith finds a home.